Well, it's clear watching Barry Zito pitch this year that he is back to the guy that I saw win 102 games across the Bay in 6.5 seasons and do it with an ERA of 3.5. But we are going to bring Barry Zito in tonight. We are thrilled to have him as our Chronicle conversation subject. He joins us from AT&T Park. First of all, Barry, just thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Chronicle Live, presented by AutoTrader.com.
Thanks, Greg. Good to be back.
Let me ask you right away, because to me, it just looked different from the spring. The ball was coming out of your hand differently this year. Are you back, in your opinion, to the guy that we saw dominate the American League hitters earlier in your career?
I think so. You know, I think it definitely was a process. You know, sometimes we just got to go through certain things to learn lessons, and it can't always be seamless. But, you know, for the sake of the team, the year that we are in it and in the running, you know, having a good August and September is key, and I feel like I'm prepared to do that for the team.
And you are having a great second half, and the numbers back it up. You are one of the best pitchers in baseball in the second half. But personally, for me, I saw this back in the spring. I remember a windy night when you were pitching against the Cubs and Derek Lee, and the ball was just coming out of your hand. And the first half, Barry, even when your ERA was over 5, I thought you were still pitching well. Talk about where you were the first half of this year versus the second half, because people think you're pitching a lot better. Are you a lot better in the second half?
I think just the consistency is better, and like you said, you know, that Cubs game on that windy night, that's a game that I reference mentally, and also a game I pitched in Cleveland last year, and the mindset in those games was just really, you know, almost not caring, man. You just go out there and you do what you do, and, you know, you don't get caught up in things you can't control. So I've referenced that Cubs game a lot, and I try to repeat that performance. And, you know, as far as the first half, I think I had some good games. I had a little run of some games and then a couple here and there. But more than anything, the consistency has been there since the second half started. And that's when people, you know, start to notice, is when you pile up good outings. You don't just have one here and there.
All right, so here's the big question now. How did you get back to the level of earlier in your career, Barry? And were your obstacles more physical or were they more mental, do you think?
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely mental. You know, I've been blessed to be healthy physically for my career, which has been great. And that way I can still go through all the processes of the other things without having setbacks, you know, with shoulders or knees or anything else. But, you know, it's just coming full circle. And I think talking to a couple friends actually last week in New York, I spoke to a couple guys. One of them was a pretty big movie, you know, a movie actor, and he had a huge movie come out. And, you know, he said, I achieved everything I wanted to achieve, and what do I do now? And, you know, and that movie for him was on his goal sheet, have a blockbuster movie. And once he did that, he went into this funk. And I learned a lot from that, you know, because getting outside of the athletic circles and know that, you know, movie stars, musicians, they all deal with the same thing. So that kind of inspired me in a cool way. But for me, it's just coming full circle and going out and having fun and say, hey, man, I'm playing baseball, and just do my best and see what happens, instead of feeling like, you know, this is what I have to do, and if I don't, then, you know, all hell's going to break loose.
Can you mention the actor's name, or do you want to keep that private?
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
I had to ask you, though, Barry. You left it out there. I had to ask you.
Yeah.
You know me.
Of course.
But let me ask you about the contract. Did you fully think out in your mind, obviously you're going to take that money, who wouldn't? But did you fully think out in your mind, Barry, all the ramifications of signing that contract and the type of pressure it would put on you professionally?
Definitely. That's why I wanted to do it in the Bay Area more than anything. You know, I've said before, I had other offers for even more money on the table, but, you know, I wanted to stay in the Bay Area. That's where I was kind of raised as a major league player, and to have my professional career be in the northern part of California and my off-season in the southern part, you know, I couldn't ask for anything better than that. But I didn't anticipate the details of what I'd go through, but I definitely knew that signing that kind of contract as a free agent was going to help me grow, more importantly, as a person, as an individual, and give me lessons I can learn and apply for the rest of my life. So I was anticipating stuff to happen, and it definitely did. But coming full circle, I think, is the key. And, you know, I just hope to keep out having fun out there and being loose.
Besides the obvious monetary gains that signing that contract has done for you, how has it changed you, if at all, as a person, just you yourself?
I think the biggest lesson would probably be things aren't as important as you think they are. You know, we walk around on this field, and it's easy to get caught up in the hype of how special or big time we may be because we're major league players. But I always refer to how I looked at the game when I came up, which was, wow, this is amazing. All these people are watching me right now, and to be part of something where an entire city is getting involved on how a team does every day. And then the more you play and the more years you get under your belt, you start to feel like you're more important. And oh my gosh, these people's expectations and happiness or sadness depends on my performance. And when you get caught up in all that stuff, it just doesn't help anything. And so like coming full circle is going back to basically, hey man, this is awesome. These people are watching. And why are they watching me? I don't know. I'm just going to keep having fun playing baseball. And I think that's the key for everybody.
And how do you think signing that contract, Barry, changed people's perceptions of you? Because in this culture, we love the story of the young guy coming up and watching him grow and become a Cy Young Award winner and a new guy. It's a fresh story. But then once you get that big contract, now you got the bullseye on your back. We want to pull you down. We want you to bring up all the bad stuff we can about you. We want to keep mentioning how much money do you make. How do people react to you differently, Barry, now that you've got that big $126 million target on your back?
Yeah, I think what the major reason is because the disparity financially, so people can't relate, but they can relate to a kid that just got out of college last year and is still playing baseball because he loves it and all this thing, There's really no disparity at that point. There might be a little physical talent or skill as far as being a baseball player, but I think that the fans can relate a lot more to the kid that just comes up, and they get behind those people. And like you said, once you become a free agent, now you're kind of in this other area where you have to perform or else they're going to be critical and you're evil or you're money hungry or I don't really know what people say or how they view it, but those are my assumptions. And then so it's fun to watch Tim and all that stuff coming up and winning the Cy Young and being young and all these things, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he becomes a free agent and Kane becomes a free agent and how those perceptions change.
Do you ever get in his ear and tell him, enjoy it now, man, because once you strike it big, they're not going to love you as much. They may be trying to pull you down a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that you can really change people. I think you can always give people advice, but those changes need to come from experience inside. So, people used to tell me stuff when I was coming up with the A's, and I would kind of nod and be like appreciative, but at the end of the day, I had to go through those things myself to really internalize it, from the perspective of really having it be in my heart instead of just a thought.
Barry, I want to go back to those early days with the A's because I watched you walk into Yankee Stadium with such panache. You went on that mound with a great stage presence. Certainly you learned it from your mom and dad. I remember that night when you struck out Rafael Palmeiro. The night before 9/11, I think, was your best single start. The curveball was just dizzying that night. You came back in 2002, and you won the Cy Young with 23 wins and a 2.75 ERA, and you're one of the very best pitchers in baseball. And to me, you had a tremendous style about you on the mound. When you climbed on top of that mound, Barry, you were like an actor, with the stage lights on, or a great musician like Carlos Santana you met last night. Did you feel that way? That when you were on that mound, it was you vibing and doing your thing, and no one was going to bring you down?
Yeah, I think you do feel like that, when you operate from the place of passion and what you love to do, which is, dominate hitters, which is ultimately what all of us pitchers get off on. That's where all that stuff lies. And then when you start to get out of that mode and you start to try to create results and create meeting other people's expectations, you kind of lose yourself in those things. So I think the true personality comes out on the mound when you just focus on what you love to do, which is get hitters out.